Welcome to Empower TV. In this episode, we will talk about the lessons learned from the Empower journey and the recommendations for citizens and local authorities. But first, let's hear what Europe has to say about our project and the energy transition. Sarah Nelen is Deputy Head of Cabinet of Executive Vice President Frans Timmermans of the European Commission. She worked on the European Green Deal.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak at your event. Let me start by saying that to meet the European Green Deal objectives and to decarbonize our energy system, we really need to engage with citizens, because their action is essential. Citizens' ownership of renewable energy production and supply, both individually and through the means of energy communities in particular, is key to achieve such a goal. And I'm glad to see that already over 8,000 collective action initiatives exist today in Europe, and would like to sincerely praise them for their efforts in making our energy and society at large more sustainable. At the same time, we have to be clear and coherent in stressing that if we really want to tap into the whole potential of energy communities, more action is still needed. Energy communities and citizens often lack technical expertise and financial resources to navigate their way in the complex energy landscape and to professionalize their activities. The project, the Interreg North Sea Region Project, Empower 2.0, contributes to address these challenges through a truly empowering approach by supporting pilot projects that facilitate direct access for citizens to the energy market. For instance, the Haarlem project explored and exemplified how local authorities can stimulate and support citizens that cannot use their own rooftop to collectively invest in solar PVs through energy communities. Or the pilot project in Kortrijk that explores ways for citizens living in social housing to benefit from integrated building renovation services and contributing to increased affordability of energy for the most vulnerable citizens. I'm convinced that with resolute, targeted policies and multilateral cooperation, we can strengthen the level playing field to unveil the full potential of citizen ownership in the energy transition. In that sense, the European Commission has developed a comprehensive legal framework for prosumers and energy communities under our Clean Energy Package. Active customers, as well as renewable and citizen energy communities, are now recognized as market actors and empowered to operate on all relevant energy markets through enabling frameworks. And the Commission is currently following up on the implementation of these EU legal frameworks at national level. As part of the Fit for 55 package that the Commission adopted last year, we also propose to recognize energy communities as key actors in mainstreaming renewable energy into buildings and facilitating building renovations. Furthermore, the hydrogen and gas market decarbonization package, adopted last December, 15th of December last year, has put forward a proposal to recognize citizen energy communities with the purpose of greening gas supply through the injection of biomethane on the gas grid. Finally, the Commission has recently initiated, with funding of the European Parliament, the Energy Community Repository and Rural Energy Community Advisory Hub. It will collect legal development and cases of energy communities, it will identify best practices, and provide guidance and technical assistance to policymakers and community energy projects alike. But for these projects to have maximum impact, it is important that energy community projects effectively engage citizens by building on lessons learned from existing projects that seek to enable citizen ownership. And as such, today's closing event of Empower 2.0 will be an important stepping stone in enabling and accelerating the development of those energy communities throughout Europe. I look forward to learning from the key findings that Empower 2.0 produced for energy community projects for local authorities and policymakers. And I really thank you for the important work done and your continued engagement on the topic of citizen ownership. Good luck and thank you.
The project Empower 2.0 kicked off at the end of 2018 for a journey of 40 months. Living labs were installed, experiences built up, and deliverables generated. But what have we learned from all of this? And what advice could be retrieved for inspired citizens or motivated local authorities? I welcome Suzan Leizinga and Keijen van Eijk, who supported the lead team of Zaanstad all through the project. Keijen, what kind of recommendations could be harvested?
So within Empower, we focused on the empowerment of citizens and starting their journey in the energy transition. For example, by starting up or joining an energy community. And these experiences resulted in recommendations on helping these citizens to start their journey. But at the same time, we also recognize that that this also requires an active role from the government, from the local government. And this resulted in the other side of the story: how can local governments work to facilitate these citizens and help them start up their journey?
Okay.
So we have both sides of the same story that really complement and strengthen each other.
Okay. Okay. Suzan, but how did these recommendations take form? Was it more top-down, as you said, as a collaboration with the governance structure, or is it more bottom-up?
Well, actually, the good thing, I think, about the Empower partnership is that they consist of different partners. We have partners from municipalities or other governmental administrations. But we also have the energy communities. So after all, within the partnership, we have the top-down perspective, but also the bottom-up perspective. And by making them work together in the living labs, they really experienced what they needed from each other. And reflecting on this in the different workshops that took place in the different partner meetings, they really elaborated on these two sets of recommendations together. So I think the result is really focused and based on top-down and bottom-up cooperation.
Yeah, so it really makes the strength, the both directions.
Yeah, sure, yes, yeah.
Okay. Could you sum up a bit, some of the most important recommendations for citizens?
Yeah. So for citizens, we made obviously a nice document, but one of these recommendations, I mean, you don't have to be an energy specialist to start up an energy community. It does help if you do something in the energy, if you know something about the energy, but some specific knowledge, like gathering the right persons around you, maybe with some legal knowledge or some financial knowledge, or a good network within the local government, for example. That is one example of a recommendation. I think another one would be to keep it simple. Don't over complicate things. Work with a simple solution that is proven to work. And another thing is always involve your local authority. They can really help you, and they have most of the times their arms open for active citizens. So that also really helps. And I think another aspect would be to don't forget to work on a professional organization. Administration is very important. If you start up a organization, be professional about it and build your organization. And the last one would be to interact with your community. Make sure that you work within your community, that you validate what you're working on with your community, see if it still matches with their pains, their needs, and if your solution still matches, make sure that it does.
Yeah, you mentioned the openness towards the local governance, but what would be the recommendations for the municipalities in the collaboration?
Yeah, there are some recommendations also for the municipalities because most of all, I think it's important to reach out to different target groups because there are many different target groups and they all have their own pains and gains that triggers them to become active in the energy transition. And now we sometimes see that municipalities reach out to persons that are mainly people at the end of their career who have some spare time and want to do something good for the world. And of course, this is really, really important. But there are also other target groups that have their needs and that could profit from being active in the energy transition. Well, such as new home builders or young professionals or people living in energy poverty, and sometimes they tend to be forgotten, and I think that's a pity. So that's a good takeaway.
All right, thank you very much. I hope these recommendations will be taken along even after the project goes on. Thank you very much. Empower is an exercise followed up closely by different partners, among whom some engaged politicians. Let's have a look and hear what they say. We'll have a round to hear what they think about Empower and their local work.
I'm Councillor Peter Schwer from Essex County Council and Climate Czar. Essex County Council is enabling communities to take an active role in the transition to a low-carbon future. Essex Empower's pilot has shown that renewable energy installations in community buildings can act as catalysts for further energy initiatives in local communities. Our 3 installations in 2 schools and 1 outdoors education centre have led to the establishment of a local energy cooperative in our pilot site. And these local schools are getting children, staff and families involved in climate action activities. But more importantly, this pilot provided the foundation for the rollout of similar projects across our 550 schools, 74 libraries and other public buildings, which would contribute significantly to the growth of local energy communities in Essex.
Hello, my name is Mark Dutroigne, Mayor of Zweringen, Belgium, and a board member of intermunicipal organization Leidal. The aim of Leidal is to develop Southwest Flanders sustainably, together with its citizens. Thanks to the Empower project, we are able to empower our residents to save energy through collective renovations of private dwellings and apartments buildings. By way of a professional renovation coach, more energetic renovations were triggered both collectively and individually. The Empower project has proved to be very important in kickstarting the renovation process in our region. Our citizens are ready to keep saving more energy together.
In Zaanstad, we want everyone to benefit from the energy transition, but a lot of our residents don't have the means to participate in it and can't isolate their homes. This is why our aim is to mitigate energy poverty. With really simple measures, we can really make the difference. The key question we wanted to answer in our pilot is, how can we best reach this group of residents? In close cooperation with energy coaches, housing corporations and neighborhood teams, we have been experimenting with different forms of communication. In addition, we are in the process of setting up a so-called Fixbrigade, a team of handymen who carry out energy-saving jobs in the neighborhood free of charge for residents, increasing the effectiveness of the measures. Empower gave Zaanstad the opportunity to work together with international partners and accelerate and test our approach on energy poverty.
This actually is the document I have been waiting for. It's important. It's about dedication, devotion and cooperation on empowering citizens and communities in the clean green climate transition. Great initiatives and concrete actions happen every day and become amazing success stories, especially when we as a public authorities support them. Just think about the citizens in the village of Føns and Branderup making their own district heating system or solar PV parks. These success stories support entrepreneurship and YIMBY attitude. Yes, in my backyard. I am happy to sign. I and the City Council are proud to be a part of European clean green transition and cooperation.
My name is Robert Berghout. I'm an alderman for sustainability and economy in the city of Haarlem. Although our city is old, we have our eyes firmly set on the future. We are very grateful for the Empower project because it helps us with our ambition. Our belief is that we cannot build a sustainable city without our citizens. The Empower project has helped our citizen initiatives to develop community solar projects. Together with our community, we will continue to reduce our environmental footprint.
Welcome to the studio, Stijn Vandamme from the Province of West Flanders and Jurgen Vanlerberge, Deputy of West Flanders and responsible for climate, energy and environment. Jurgen, a first question, what has West Flanders learned from the Empower project and what initiatives could be empowered?
I think the most important thing that we have learned is that even today you still have to put a strong effort in facilitating knowledge exchange. Even though people are talking about green energy, clean energy, energy transition for decades, there is still a lot of lack of knowledge with the people, so you have to provide the citizens of up-to-date knowledge about technologies, and you have to illustrate that with examples from nowadays situations, even if those examples seem rather obvious.
Okay, so that would be one of the first recommendations then, the accessibility of that knowledge?
Yes, the accessibility and the dissemination of that knowledge, bringing all that knowledge together on a down-to-earth scale so that people can easily see what's in it for them.
So what lessons do you have to offer to all involved in energy initiatives?
I think one of the more important lessons is that if you try to disseminate that knowledge, you don't need only engineers. You have to bring people together. You have to learn them how they can exchange their ideas, how they can learn from each other. So you need people who are very good in communication, in setting up meetings, and things like that. I think that one is one of the important lessons we have learned.
Stijn, how do these recommendations, how do they come about in your job? How could you work on it?
Well, we actually made those recommendations with all the partners within Empower. So what we did was we have different pilot projects who all work in different contexts, political, social context, all that. And we organized some meetings, workshops, and also during the big partner meetings, we also had some workshops to have some input on how the pilots were going. So we exchanged some experiences. And in those experiences, we distillated some recommendations, like the deputy said. One of them is to have a team of different skilled people. So not only the focus on the technical stuff, but also the focus on how to communicate, on how to bring out your message about your pilot that you were doing.
Yeah, so that would be one of the transnational lessons that you could take on.
Yeah,
were there others? Or,
so it's rather really the network effect. So if you put the right people in the right place and you connect them all together, you can give a bigger and a broader communication. So we have also tried to take as much as possible the communication channels towards your civilians.
Yeah. So would that be one of the aims in how to spread and to really get them into practice, these recommendations?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it was mentioned before, the energy transition is big news and everybody knows about it, but nobody knows a lot of it.
Yeah.
So you have to enforce that message.
Okay.
You can do that through the recommendations that we made within Empower.
Okay. So would the Province of West Flanders take this further along?
Yes, for sure. We have quite some ideas how to motivate people of projects, who will motivate people to go further in the energy transition. What we have learned during Empower is very valuable, and we will for sure getting on the path of the energy transition towards clean energy.
Okay, thank you very much. As you can see, a lot of enthusiasm here with our local politician and local administration. But will policymakers throughout Europe take up the recommendations and include them in their political work? Let's find out. Next time on Empower TV, we will talk about Empower in practice. We will look at some examples and the toolbox.